Great. Well, let's just kick it off. Joining me today on Coffee with Kenobi is the director of Lego Star Wars Summer Vacation Interviews, Ken Cunningham. Hello, Ken.
Hey,
Good to have you back on again, my friend. Also joining us, the executive producer and writer, David Shayne.
Hi, Dan. Thanks for having us back.
Of course, of course. Well, I mean, first off, thank you so much for creating Lego Star Wars Summer Vacation. It's a blast. Honestly, it's my favorite one so far, which is saying something because I feel like the bar is already quite high.
Oh, thank you.
that's
Yeah.
beautiful to
Let's
hear.
just end the interview here. Let's dine out on that. We're not going to.
All right.
That's
Let's
great. We're
book
done.
it.
Goodbye.
Let's book it. Well, it's true. So there's a lot of fun things to talk about. Firstly, besides the different seasons, I mean, you've got the holiday special, the Halloween one, now summer. Uh, what was important for you both about telling this particular story?
It was a way of, as we were wrapping up the Halloween special and started thinking about what to do next, we were talking about these kind of family vacation moments and just thought it was a way to sort of tell this story and to see kind of Finn's journey and the way Finn is developing his force sensitivity and sort of him seeing that. And we realized there was a way to do this through this vacation prism. So we thought summer vacation setting would be really fun for Star Wars and for Lego Star Wars, and it'd be really fun to see where Finn is in his journey. And those two things just sort of, to use a Lego analogy, kind of click together.
Huh.
So it just became a very fun way to tell those kinds of stories.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I guess, because David eloquently sort of stated the bigger meta story stuff. I mean, for me personally, it's just, and all three of these have been about this. It's just a way of sort of connecting with themes that connect me to my daughter. And, like that just really resonate for me. So it becomes quite personal in a really nice way.
And I feel like that's great to hear because I feel like that very much comes through. Because yes, there are a lot of laughs and there's a lot of fun. The Easter eggs are tremendous. But there's definitely some heart here. And, there's that continual storyline you mentioned, the thread that's going throughout these specials that I think enriches the overall Star Wars story. And I think it really adds a fun little pop to the sequel trilogy. But for both of you, and Ken, we'll start with you on this one. What is about the sequel trilogy characters that inspire you as well as the existing characters that we know and love?
Well, I mean, in terms of the sequel characters, I mean, really, for me, what I love about them and what inspire me is that they're like my daughter's version of, what Luke and Leia and Han were for me. Like I was 10 when the first film came out, and that kid that, ate up all the media I could get. We didn't have an internet back then, so it was like Starlog magazine and stuff like that.
Yes.
And it's just been super cool to get to work on these characters that are my daughter's characters and my daughter's generation's characters, and how the two of us can relate through that. Yeah, that's where it resonates for me.
I love that. And David, what about you?
It is very fun to do the Lego iterations of those characters who are great. And, we have actors who do most of the performances with them. We're also lucky enough to get Kelly Marie Tran, who comes back and does a Lego version of Rose. She finds a way to give it it's definitely Rose, but there's a spin on it, and just giving that little kind of askew bit of humor to it, just to find that Lego version is just incredibly satisfying. And then the rest of our cast completely brings it. I've been singing Omar Miller's praises for a while. He really found the heart of Finn in that story. And we put a lot of emotional weight on that and a lot of reliance on it. And boy, if that goes off the rails, it ain't gonna work at all. And he just, to make a Star Wars analogy, he landed the Millennium Falcon. He utterly brings it, and that is incredibly satisfying, frankly. And Helen Sadler does an amazing job as Rey. Again, not just sounding like Daisy Ridley, but creating a real character and creating a Lego version of the character. And Jake Green's hilarious as Poe. He's super funny, and he's hilarious in the records. And so it's getting to see these versions of these characters that we all know and love, adding in exactly what Ken said, plus all the ones that we grew up with, is just, it's a treat.
It's a great little, and I'm going to say sandbox because of our virtual backgrounds we're dealing with here. which is great, right? Yeah, but I think that's one of the reasons why I mentioned at the top. This is why I like this so much, because it's very funny, but there is heart and there's great emotion and pathos that comes through, which is a really fun thing. You expect to laugh and be entertained, but the story is really, really great. Another great part of this is, of course, the music. Music is a huge part of the Lego Star Wars Summer Vacation. How did Weird Al get involved, and what was that collaboration like?
It was incredible. We early on wrote this character, Vic Vanko, and we knew we wanted to do a beach blanket bingo style number. And somebody just sort of said, well, what if we got Weird Al? And then, it goes from like, what if to we have to. And you're just sort of moving heaven and earth and finding any way and just hoping, you ask your casting director, Lindsay Halper, to do it. And she reaches out to him and you hear that he's thinking about it and you're just hopeful. And then lo and behold, you get him. And I mean, it's to hear him sing a song that I got to co-write with Michael Kramer was just, I mean, it's a career highlight. As you might suspect, I would like to come up with some glib joke about it, but there's not. It was a career highlight.
Yeah. So Ken, did you have to direct Weird Al?
No, no. Well, I mean, really, like I just got to be a fanboy. I mean, really, yeah. Like, I mean, the real creation going on there was between Al and our composer Michael Kramer, and it was such an honor and privilege to get to just watch those two kind of riff together and work through all sorts of different ideas, and they were speaking the same language, and it was really cool to just get to watch that process.
Yeah,
Wow.
They spoke musician to musician, and it was just, let's double this, let's harmonize this. What Al throwing out a falsetto and just watching those pieces get made is amazing.
Yeah.
What a really cool thing.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, we were as thrilled as you would imagine we were. So
I mean, we frequently, just look at each other and like, we get paid to do this? Like, like...
Wait, you get paid?
Oh, Ken, I think you forgot to mute yourself.
I forgot to
So speaking of music, how about the dulcet tones of James Arnold Taylor singing as Obi-Wan Kenobi? What went into the creation of that song and that production? Because that was a great one too. I like that probably as much.
Oh, Dan, I love that you picked up on that and give the kudos to James, who was so game. We wrote this song. I had some lyrics scribbled down that we were going to do, and we realized that we needed to get it kind of done early so that Ken and his team could animate to it. So we got Michael involved in the process a little earlier than we normally do, and said, we want this kind of upbeat, kind of hip hop song, and Michael wrote a great tune to it and came up with the Gamorrean Girls part, and then we got in there with James and our amazing voice director Mary Elizabeth McGlynn. He was so game, like, to find a way to do Obi-Wan and Lego Obi-Wan and to do a musical performance and a rap and to play the awkwardness at the beginning and the joy at the end. Like, we put him through the ringer and he was game to do all of it. So I hope he gets to see this, because I'm glad you caught that. He was fantastic. It was just amazing.
Yeah, and it was so great to I was so happy we made the decision to get that stuff early, because it was so great to have that while I was working through storyboards and really like craft the visual against the music, as opposed to normally that kind of gets put on at the end. Yeah, really, I think it makes both those sections much richer that we were able to do that.
There was also
I
something.
agree.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I agree with that. It's just there's so much pathos and heart that comes through in that section too.
It's really wonderful to hear. I was just going to say, like, also again, singing Michael Kramer, our composer's praises, is that, you watch that number and it is both a song, but there's also score that has to carry the action musically. And I don't think that's an easy thing to do. And Michael pulls it off with aplomb, and he is so gifted in doing all these different genres, even within one special, that it just is so, it's fun to get to hear it and watch it come to life like that.
It's so great. So I mean, we've alluded to some of the gags, and you would expect the gags, and you guys are just fun and hilarious anyway. So are there certain gags that stand out to you? I'm just going to steal one right away and say the bit where Anakin comes out of the water with, you know, the Vader breath is really just like a rebreather was pretty great. Kind of a nice little homage to how they originally created it anyway.
You beat me to it, Dan. It's a deep cut to Ben Burt using the respirator. And kudos to Ken's team for figuring out the lighting and all that. Because if that doesn't carry, it's you know, it's a sound and visual gag, and if they can't figure out how to do it, it won't land. So I'm thrilled that landed with you. We liked that joke. Oh, you were asking favorite jokes.
Yeah.
I personally, it's more of a dialogue joke, but I was really enjoying this time writing and seeing the tiny little interactions between Jabba and Boba Fett, and the way Jabba sort of undermines him. It was very fun to have that come together, and have Dee sort of nail it as Boba, just give that attitude to it.
Yeah, for me, I think some of my favorites are I love the Jawa pulling his cloak off and revealing full on, you know, bling. Little nod to that strange thing that Mark Hamill did on German TV. And I love the moment with the Imperial, who, you know, just happens to be a dancer, like, and he jumps out there, and love that gag. And I have a thing for gonk droids, so I kind of have a personal spot for the little gonk droid gags that we stuck in various places.
And I just remembered one, just going back to your point about James Arnold Taylor, the moment in Gamorrean Girls, Utini and Didi, like that was his improv, and it was hilarious. Like he said that, like, yep, to definitely make sure that gets in the song. Like, I mean, I remember literally asking our production team to make sure they pulled that piece out. We needed to make sure that got in the song. So those little spontaneous moments are pure joy.
I love that too. Yeah, I feel like that whole set piece with like everybody was joining in on the fun, and then kind of the Mission Impossible stuff going on in the backgrounds, trying to sneak in the coax team and stuff. It really works well. That's why I want to change gears a little bit. Having been fortunate enough to be a part of the initial media cruise for the Galactic Star Cruiser and getting to be on the Halcyon, I know the power of going in that ship, in that giant lobby area. How does the Halcyon help to kind of tell the story for you guys?
Can you?
Well, I mean, David, why don't you speak to the story stuff first? Because I mean,
sure.
It kind of becomes for me, it was just about visualizing it, but really it kind of underpins the story on a lot of levels.
So story-wise, we knew early on that we wanted to have the gang going on a vacation together, and as we were pitching as we were talking about the special, the Halcyon was in development. I don't even think it had been announced yet, and we realized somebody at Lucasfilm said, "Oh, this would be a really good setting," and talked to Jason Stein and Leland Chee at Lucasfilm, and got to read some of the initial sort of stuff that you ended up seeing in person, and just what they were planning for it, and went, "Oh, this is a great setting," and it is a way we knew early in the story we wanted to split the team the way we do and have Finn wind up on his own. It's like a cruise ship is a nice place where people can be off doing activities, you can play all that fun, but also someone can be off on their own, kind of lost in mentally in their world. And so from a storytelling perspective, it became a really obvious setting. It just felt very organic to it.
Yeah, and then my team, like, we were able to, you know, luckily that stuff was kind of being developed while we were sort of heading into design. So we were getting the privilege to see like all this great concept work that was generated for it. And, so we started to like try and build our own version of that. And then, we had to tackle the exterior, which hadn't really been worked out. So that was kind of our heavy lifting in terms of that not really being thought through yet. So we sort of designed that, throwing stuff over to the Lego group in Denmark, some of the designers over there, and then back to Lucasfilm. So it was like really a kind of a three-way collaboration going on. Four-way, I guess, because it would, go to Lucasfilm, then go to DWI, and then come back to us.
Well, it really worked great. And even the parts of the Halcyon that they add to it, it just organically, it fit really well. Well, Ken and David, thank you both so much for coming back to Coffee with Kenobi. Really looking forward to the future. And of course, rewatching the Lego Star Wars Summer Vacation episode all over again. Thanks again, fellas.
Thanks for having us, Dan. Super fun. Bye.